Ladies and gentlemen, let's Red Gaming Tech.com video. It has been confirmed that 12 gigabytes of RAM is not going to be appearing on the Xbox One console. Albert Penello somewhat sparked these rumours when he was discussing on NeoGAF, and he said, and I quote, "I would like to pose the question to the audience. There are several months until the console launches, and as any students of the industry will remember, specs change. Given the rumour specs for both systems, can anyone conceive of a circumstance or decision one platform holder could make where, despite the theoretical performance benchmarks of the components, the box that appears weaker could actually be more powerful?" I believe the debate on this could give some light to why we don't engage in a specification debate and both boxes are final and shipping. End quote for a moment, and we're going to get into a bit more in a second. So, of course, this sparked two rumours, should I say. The first was that the memory was being increased from 8 to 12 gigs. The second, which panned out to be true, was that the GPU clock speed was raised. However, the amount that was rumoured wasn't quite right. Some people were expecting it to go to like 900 megahertz or so. Anyway, Albert then went to Twitter, and he clarified everything that has gone on, and he's also clarified that 12 gigs is not going to be making a debut in the console. He said, and I quote on Twitter, "Glad you all like the headset. We're not going to 12 gigabytes, just to be clear. Feeling great about game performance, and stuff is looking killer." End quote. So, I did actually cover this rumour before in another video, and I'd said right then and there that I wasn't surprised if this rumour didn't pan out to be true because of the way DDR3 works, obviously dual channel and so on, so unless they went somehow tri-channel, and even if those technical issues weren't around, the other major concern I had was that, well, it was so late in the game at that point. Plus, in addition to that, of course, we know that Sony themselves had already said that, look, they've got 3 gigabytes dedicated to OS functionality. However, we do know that that could probably change over time. They could maybe claw back some of that used memory from the OS, some of that reserved memory, and give it to games developers, should they so desire down the road. Microsoft have pretty much the same philosophy in that sense, so we don't really know the memory usage. In other words, it's going to take someone to actually open up operating system, find out what is using what services, what functions, what drivers, what other bits and pieces, what pieces of code basically are in the memory, and if there is spare portions of it. And of course, even if the answer is 0, even if all of the 3 gigs is used, it's also possible by simple code optimizations down the line they might be able to get like 512 megabytes back or whatever. And 512 is actually pretty big when you consider, once again, just to reiterate, that that's the same amount that, say, in the Xbox 360. It's pretty huge. And indeed, the main memory of the PlayStation 3, in other words, not the GPU memory, which 256 megabytes, but the actual main memory, was actually, by the time you take out the operating system, the amount available to games developers was just under 200 megabytes. So it's still pretty substantial, this 5 gigs. It's pretty damn big. And indeed, if you were to take a look at a lot of PC games now, they are still 32-bit packages. There are a few exceptions, of course, to the rule, but even Skyrim, Naked Skyrim, when it was first released on the PC, it was actually 2 gigs it could address, and you could even put in some mods. However, some of the really high-resolution texture mods would cause the game to fall over. It would crash because the game can address more than 2. Now I believe there's a patch. I don't remember what the amount is it can address. I can't remember if it's 4 or over 4, but I believe it's 4, however, I'm not 100% on that. Anyway, regardless, it's still a huge improvement, and I'm not really surprised about the memory issue, so to speak. It's not really a concern for me, to be honest with you. I think it's pretty reasonable. 5 gigs of RAM, 3 in reserve. I think that's going to do developers for a while. As for games performance, well, as I've been saying in various other videos, as you guys know, well, if you're regular viewers, I've got Xbox One versus PlayStation 4 GPU. I'm going to try and wrap that up today, no promises. I've got a few bits and pieces I do need to discuss, mostly on DirectX 11 API of the Xbox One and a few other bits and pieces as well, but hopefully it's going to be completely finished today, because I'm getting a bit sick of recording it, to be honest. It's getting a really long series. For those of you who are uninitiated, it's about 7 parts now, and each part's about 30 minutes or so, so it's certainly getting fairly lengthy, and that's not including research time. So yeah, hopefully, however, I don't really think this is going to be that much of a negative thing. I wasn't really expecting the rumours to pan out to be true. If they'd have said 16 gigs, I would have thought it would be slightly more feasible. But there you have it. As you guys are aware, you never really know what happens in rumours. However, sometimes things pan out to be true. Other times they don't. I'm not really surprised on this one. I am very happy that the Xbox One's GPU is slightly upclocked, however. And of course, I've already covered that quite in depth. It's also worth noting, just as an aside, that both the Xbox One and PlayStation 4 developers, and this includes ones who are working either exclusively on either format, or those who are doing cross-platform, so in other words, say working on PC and Xbox, or PS4 and Xbox, or whatever combination thereof, and they've all said that, look, right now, the amount of memory that's available to games developers is fine. Even John Carmack has said that, I believe, during QuakeCon. He said that the amount of memory now is fantastic. So 5 gigs is pretty damn substantial. I don't think for a while we're going to have issues with that. Who knows in 4 or 5 years' time, depending on what, of course, goes on with the game engines. But by that point, we're probably going to start hitting issues with the GPU limitations anyway. Anyway, who knows? But hopefully you guys have enjoyed the video, shall I say? Sorry guys, I'm pretty tired, just, kind of waking up and so forth. Hopefully you guys have enjoyed the video. I will see you soon. Take care. Bye for now.